This is the Mind Body Detox podcast, where we discuss all things integrative health and wellness, interviewing folks from all over the world, sharing insights and wisdom for how to live a healthier life in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mind Body Detox podcast. I'm your host, Mind Body Medium Theresa Lovehart, and we're bringing on Theresa Levine today. Our topic is detoxing hustle culture. So I think this would be a really intriguing one for many of you guys out there. And specifically, we're going to talk about hustle culture, how it's secretly draining our energy, blocking abundance, and keeping us stuck in cycles of burnout. So our guest, Theresa Lear Levine, she knows the struggle firsthand. She is an EFT Master Practitioner, a hypnotherapist, and the founder of Becoming More Me. So after years of battling high-functioning anxiety, ADHD, and the constant pressure to do more, have you guys felt that before? Yep, I know you guys out there listening are totally relating to that. She found herself exhausted and disconnected from true fulfillment. And this, of course, despite outward success she was having. So her turning point was learning how to rewire her subconscious mind, regulate her nervous system. Guess what? More of that stuff, guys. We talk about the rest of the nervous system so much here. And then to step into a pleasure-filled life. So Theresa helps high-achieving entrepreneurs heal past trauma, release limiting belief, and detox the hustle mentality. And this is also, we're going to talk about her best-selling book, Becoming More Me, Tapping into Success. And she's going to share her powerful journey with the science-backed tools that she has used and helped hers and others break free from exhaustion and distraction. So today, we're going to break down this hustle culture stuff, guys, and also talk about why it's so addictive. I have seen so many colleagues of mine, clients that are really stuck in this cycle. And it's one of those things when you know it's there, but you get falling off the wagon, right? It's important to really learn more about the nervous system, the energy field, and practical shifts you can make. And this is why we're bringing on Theresa today. Hi, Theresa. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kara. Thanks for having me. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah. Let's dive into you first. Let's talk about your journey. Everyone maybe doesn't know what EFT is. Hypnotherapy we've heard of, but let's talk about you and why you really got into these modalities specifically.
Absolutely. I got into these pretty much kind of being my own first client because I knew there were things that I wanted to change. You mentioned in the intro about the high functioning anxiety. I was chronically overwhelmed as a mom of four. I've got four boys and I was running a business. At the time, it was more based in the physical, fitness, nutrition, things like that. And interestingly enough, you were just recently on my podcast and we were talking about how if people could solve things from the physical perspective or from the mental perspective, I think pretty much everybody in my world would have their stuff figured out. And that's how it was for me too. I felt, gosh, I'm pretty smart, if I do say so myself, pretty well educated. I absorb knowledge and information like a sponge. And yet I kept feeling like I was running into this brick wall where I just couldn't get through and create success or inner peace or even confidence in the way that I knew was already in me somewhere. So that's where nervous system work and subconscious mind work really stepped up. And as soon as I started to nourish my nervous system differently, I noticed I started to show up differently. And I started to meet and greet different situations that used to create a lot of overwhelm in a new way and experience them differently. And I was able to step out of that constant anxiousness and the overstimulation and the exhaustion. And before all of that, there was this feeling of no matter how much I did, it was never going to be enough. And not really feeling like I was enough, really. And I think everybody's got some version of that not enoughness to overcome. Yeah. But once I discovered EFT, once I discovered hypnotherapy and the power of like really being able to rewire my own subconscious, it was like flipping a switch. I began to feel safe in my body again, began to be able to embody more of what I wanted to do. And as like my nervous system softened, my clarity came back. I was able to connect more to my intuition and to unhook from the pressure to like prove or perform or meet anybody's expectations that were not my own. And I was also able to reconnect to pleasure as fuel for all of those things instead of the hustle and strive and push kind of mentality that comes from our masculine, where I was pretty much like in the masculine 99% of the time. And I was able to shift into more of that feminine receiving and abundance and softness that really made things easier. It really connected into more of the flow. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't learn to work with my nervous system, because before that, my nervous system was too afraid to slow down and receive and allow productivity to come through different means. So,
Yeah. When your nervous system's already overstimulated, it doesn't want more input. The input is receiving. Oh, man. I have a question about your femininity and that masculine force that you talked about, that we are programmed in this culture is the quote unquote right way to do business. I'm curious about your background as far as growing up. Did you find that you were more feminine and flowy and more in that state when you were younger, and it was as you grew up you just put yourself into the box as a business owner? Or what do you think as far as that, your journey with that? I'm curious.
I do think that somewhere in like adolescence, there was a bit of a shift, but because I loved a lot of like I loved feminine things. I would never say I was like totally like girly girl feminine, but there was more of an openness to like the receiving and the abundance and just like the magic and wonder of the world and things like that, that I think the harshness of reality as you grow up can sometimes pull you out of and shift you more into the masculine. And then the desire to achieve, succeed, make things happen, even just that statement, make things happen, that's like masculine. Really came in more of like my probably teen years onward.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. So when I grew up building my business, most of the journey building my business was just doing it completely intuitively and just following this kind of flow. And it wasn't until my business started to get bigger that the pressure to perform, the pressure to make sure it doesn't fail, the pressure to maybe fit in and maybe go do it the way that everyone else is doing it, it's when that completely shifted my business. And now I'm actually just been unraveling back into that space. Because I had people that I was like, they have a PhD and they have all of these accolades and they're doing it right. And wow, maybe if I do this, they'll want to come work with me in this capacity. Because as a medium, people didn't take me seriously back then. Now I am like so fortunate and lucky to have amazing licensed professionals. I'm a licensed massage therapist, but to me, in our culture, which is so academically, this is the cred if you're academic, that for me was part of the journey of like, how do I fit into the mold? And as I fit into the mold, there's a balance between flow and structure, right? But as I fit into the mold, that's when the burnout started to set in for me and the nervous system dysregulation, because I wasn't listening to the flow. And this isn't the right day for it. It's not the right timing. And I feel that now, like, why would I push for something that's not meant to be? Like if I'm not feeling it happening right now, but then it opens up 2 days from now that this is the time to schedule this or do that. And I think that there is a balance between being too much of that and not being enough. But why I asked you that question, because for me, it was like, I've been having to unpack that, like that program, that belief that if I
Right.
do it this way, because it worked out so much for me in the beginning of my business. That's just how
Right.
everything was. And then because I hired my first employee, that's when I felt like, oh my gosh, the responsibility is on me now to make sure that this doesn't fail, because everyone else is independent contractors. It's their own. They have to contribute and put their own
Right.
energy in. So I just I love that balancing and moving from that. So
Yeah. It makes me curious with your scenario, like what changed that you felt like if intuition and things were working so well and you were flowing and things were good, what was the thing that made you feel like you had to shift?
I live in an area that's conservative. So I was booked with a wait list for a year as a medium and I was a massage therapist, but I wanted to then realize that wasn't going to be sustainable. I need to do one to many. And I also was like, if I do one to many, that means marketing and sharing my gift and having more visibility. And when I started
Okay.
having the visibility in this conservative area, you guys listen to this podcast, you've heard death threats, calls, fake Google reviews from people who are saying that all these things because they're scared about what they don't understand. And that's been part of my journey to get my nervous system like bombarded enough by people that will hate and villainize and project to the point where I'm like, that doesn't mean anything about who I am. But I
Right.
think that's why I retracted, because I was watching it affect just the regular massage staff I had, oh my gosh, if that is affecting, what if that starts affecting them? There was like a fear thought that what if it starts affecting their income? People won't come to my clinic because they believe it's this, because there's a lot of really conservative religious people in the area. And
Gotcha.
that is where I retracted. But now, it's completely different. Our team is, we love this law of attraction, Reiki, but then we have a diversity of people in different spectrums of their spirituality and religion and all that stuff too. But yeah, that's what it shifted. It was about protecting other people.
Yeah. So the same thing that caused you to contract and to step into the masculine also created more expansion down the
It
road.
did. It did. It really
Pretty cool.
did. Isn't that cool?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. The hustle culture, and this is one thing I like contract even when I hear people say I got to do my side hustle. Oh, that's a lot of work there. That's the whole thing of this working harder means success. What was your personal wake up call that helped you realize that hustling wasn't the answer? And when you started to soften, what quote unquote successes came then? Was it still the definition of success the same, or did that definition change, or did you feel like on paper, the legitimate black and white logical quote unquote success metrics were actually getting bigger? I'm just curious how that worked up for you as you moved out of hustle.
Yeah. So as far as wake up calls or things, for me, like when things changed, it was like one of those moments in life where from the outside at least, it looks like you have everything and like business is growing, the calendar's full, there's this sense of being needed and being successful. And yet I was still like waking up like full speed ahead, time to go, and had this like kind of dread and then falling asleep anxiously and not very
Yeah.
peacefully. And so the wake up call was like, it was subtle, but it was powerful because I realized that I was chasing goals I didn't even really want. And just because like they made me feel validated.
Yeah.
And so I had to ask myself, like, what if I stopped trying to earn my worth and I started living from it instead? And that's like the big shift, right? So that one question just really cracked open the possibility of a totally different reality and a totally different definition of success. Like you mentioned, I think the definition of success is always changing, but I began to like peel away at the different patterns and patterns of proving or producing. And that's when like real success, the kind that feels like peace and purpose, was able to start coming in. And I was able to start defining it differently versus like, how much did I do today? What did I check off my to-do list? All that kind of stuff. And instead it's like, do I feel aligned? Do I feel grounded? Do I feel purposeful? Do I feel like I'm serving at a high level, but like from the overflow, not from the stuff
Yeah.
I need to like sustain myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think I relate to that so much on my journey. And I've actually encountered, this is why I'm so glad you're doing this work. I've actually encountered people I want to partner with and people I want to collaborate with that are brilliant and that I love, but I have this discernment that they're actually in that pattern and it's not going to be sustainable to collaborate with them.
It's
And
true.
so it's true because they're taking on more projects for the validation, the accolade, or trying to prove their worth. And this is something that's been over the last 8 months of me like discerning who's actually the right people to collaborate with, because I don't want to have to then like chase or remind or babysit or, hey, do you think you're taking a little too much here? That self-awareness piece too goes down a lot when you're on overdrive because you don't have the awareness as much. You get like these blinders on. So
It's the
yeah,
truth. It's the truth.
yeah.
And it happens a lot. I notice the same thing in collaborations that I do, or where I have to like suggest to people, like, maybe we just postpone and try this in 6 months or something. Cause it just like people don't seem
Yeah.
like they're in the place to really show up the way
Oh
that
my
and
gosh.
even they want to. I don't think
Yes, they do.
for the people that are in that cycle that they're like, they understand that they're even in the cycle.
Yes. And I always say that your consciousness, your reality is a reflection of your consciousness. As I am still moving out of that culture, and I think culturally it's a big, this is the musical note that's setting the tone. This is the song we're playing. It's hustle, go. Working with core belief work like you do, we're going to get into that with tapping and EFT and hypnotherapy. So like a core belief that I think I'm carrying still is that where are the people out there that actually are operating from regulation that can create a solid, valuable collaboration and it be like not disappointment. And I'm wondering, I'm just thinking about that because there are definitely a lot of people out there that want to have their business grow. They're the high achiever personality that want to do all the things and they even want to collaborate. Like you said, they want to do it. But by feeling like they have to cut something out or maybe limit what they can do,
Right.
limit potential opportunities, like opportunities are exciting and shiny and I think that slowing down feels like losing momentum and potentially feels like failure. So could you talk about how the nervous system and maybe dysregulation with it actually kills productivity and how this slowing down isn't necessarily maybe losing momentum like we might think?
Absolutely. There's an entire chapter in my book called Slow is the New Fast. So I totally embrace everything about this. And when your nervous system is stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or I honestly believe there's several more F's that it gets stuck in, your brain isn't thinking about like big visions or strategy. And so it's thinking about survival. So you might look busy, but you're really just like spinning your wheels. That comes up a lot. And then on the flip side, when your nervous system feels safe, then you can access creativity and clarity and flow. I just did a podcast interview on my show with a client that just finished up work with me. And she was in burnout and just really trying to like access some movement in her nervous system so she could get started on some things. So she was just totally in like flop and freeze. And one of the things that came through early on in our work as we reconnected to like pleasure as a fuel for her was reconnecting to her creativity. She's enormously creative, but that had all been like shut down because her nervous system was really dysregulated. And as she was able to tap into creativity, it's like everything else started to flow again. So, from there, you make better decisions, you follow through more easily, and you're actually like present for the life that you're building. And yeah, I feel like when I feel grounded or after I've done like a round of EFT or something, I've explained it before, like it's like going from the mosh pit at a concert where like maybe you love the act and you're excited to be there and you don't even mind being in the hustle and bustle with people. But then as I do the EFT or something else that nourishes my nervous system, it's like I rise up into the box seats and I can just like, I can still enjoy the music. I hear it. I can still enjoy the sights, but it's like nobody's bumping into me. I've got a clear, full picture of everything that's happening and I can make some like really logical, rational decisions and see the whole perspective.
That is the best analogy for regulation of your nervous system that I've heard. I'm going to share that and quote you because with my clients, I love that, Theresa. I think that's incredible. Thank you.
That's how it's always felt like to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, and that allows you to really get present and be more logical. So to sum it up, like slowing down isn't lazy. And I think that's the
Mhm.
problem. We've been taught that if we stop, then we're not productive and blah, 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 and we're lazy. It's not. It's necessary, actually, if you want to be able to create alignment and sustainability, which is more important. Like
Yeah.
anybody can go crazy and dive in on something and work 24/7 on it for some period of time, but at some point you're not going to be able to do it anymore. And you're not going
Yes.
to be enjoying it either.
I think at this point in the conversation, based on what you just said, I want to bring in money as a concept because I think a lot of this, if someone is struggling with scarcity and struggling with slowing down, or failure is going to happen, or if I don't do this, there is a hamster wheel that happens that I have to do this to make sure that I have the income, the safety, security. And I almost like that can be part of the addiction and part of the struggle. And if I don't do something, I'm lazy. Like for my journey, I went through that because I had worked so hard building my company and business and had different people that were working with me, working for me. And when I would take a day off and I wasn't doing I would say quote unquote anything, but that day I still checked my inbox. I still did stuff. I felt like, oh my gosh, these people are working, making money for me, for my company, and I'm just sitting on my ass today. And I had that belief, that thought that crept in. And then I had my team was like, no, you actually work many more hours than all of your team, and a lot of it has been unpaid. So I don't know where that thought comes from, but I do think that the link between slowing down, worrying about being lazy, and we're also, there's just the safety of maybe I have to keep hustling because hustling is the guarantee that I'm going to find financial security someday. So
Uh,
let's unpack that, because that's a huge deterrent for people that
yes, it
keeps
is.
them stuck.
And it's also one of the number one reasons that people struggle with their decision to do this deeper work, because they feel like if they set themselves back by investing in slowing down and figuring out these tools and showing up differently, that like they're not going to be able to pay the electric bill or something. Like, and so they stay stuck in that scarcity. And so many people call it like a scarcity mindset, but it's actually like it's a nervous system state. If your body associates rest, ease, or receiving with danger or loss, then you're going to subconsciously resist those things, even if you consciously desire abundance or receiving. So for many, like money has always been tied to urgency. It's been tied to exhaustion. It's been tied to proving. So many people that I work with saw these examples in their parents or their caregivers where they worked themselves crazy, maybe didn't even have time to spend with them as they were growing up. And that's what was modeled. When we try to detach from that grind, the body panics. Like, how will I survive if I stop the go? So if you're experiencing that, like you're not alone, you're not lazy, you're not like broken in some way, you're just in survival mode and you've probably been in it for longer than is optimal for anybody. And it's really important to be able to rewire that belief that says hustle equals safety. It's one of the most important beliefs I think that I help people shift is like working hard is how I stay safe, and shifting that to like my safety and my abundance come from alignment, not effort. And we do that through EFT tapping, through subconscious reprogramming, through nervous system regulation, and through like practical coaching that gets you to put yourself up against it and then see what happens and how your body and mind respond. And then I think we also have to like we equate value with effort. So if it feels easy, then it's probably not worth much. And I think that's where we also get hung up, because so many of us have these gifts that come really easily to us and they are valuable. Your energy, your wisdom, your intuition, the lived experience, those things are inherently the value. And the more regulated and the more aligned you are, then the more magnetic. Yeah. So we rewire scarcity by living in alignment.
Yeah.
And yeah, even before the external shifts show up, because I know that's usually the thing. Like when you're in that scarcity nervous system state, it's like you want the change now, because unless that change happens, then you can't slow down is the belief. And before those things show up, you can like practice like receiving with smaller things. So if you're in this state, like start by like receiving a compliment like joyfully without trying not to accept that compliment, or receiving a little help, or even like free resources, and like anchor into more of your enoughness on a daily basis through gratitude, through appreciation, those kind of things. And yeah, and realize that things should be more of like an energy exchange, not necessarily like time or effort. It's not mandatory. Things can be easy.
Absolutely.
Let it be easy. I literally have I have a sticky note. I talk about this in my book. So since we were talking about my book, I'll rip it off and show it to you. But I have two things here that I needed to remember when I was writing the book. It's taped, so I'm pulling it off. But it says, flip it to appreciation, and I think it's going to be easy. Those were like two things that I just kept top of mind as I was channeling in my book through the lens of pleasure, and things that I try to keep top of mind every day by having it taped onto the front of my laptop station. So I think that sometimes we forget that it's allowed to be easy.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice. And I think that when you have your nervous system has been dysregulated for so long, you don't have tools to regulate it. So you don't feel like it's a choice. You say, this is just how it is. And I've been doing, some people say, I've done the mindset work, or I've tried yoga, or I've tried the things. And I don't think that they've done a lot of subconscious belief repatterning work. So can you talk a little bit about the subconscious and how that relates to the work you do with EFT tapping? Because I think that's where Guys, this has been a series of podcast episodes. We had Dr. Nicole Kane. We talked about anxiety and panic. And then we talked to Dr. Alia with nervous system regulation and her belief work through theta healing. And now we're doing EFT. It all builds on each other. So it's all connected, guys. So yes, tell us about that in your perspective.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat what the question was again?
Yeah. So no,
subconscious does what?
How does the subconscious block then the slowing down, and where people were saying, I've done this or that, but maybe they haven't done subconscious reprogramming or repatterning work.
Okay. Yeah. So the subconscious it's like the biggest Google Drive ever of like your data. So even for people who are like, oh, I have a crummy memory, or people who repress memories or trauma or things that they've been through, it's all still there in the subconscious. So it's essentially like the reason why slowing down feels dangerous. So the subconscious mind's like number one job, keep you safe. And just like your brain. So it doesn't care about you being happy. It doesn't care about you being wealthy. It doesn't care about you feeling fulfilled. None of those things matter to your subconscious mind. And it operates 95% of the time, give or take, on autopilot. So it's operating based on your past experiences, not like the present truth. So that's not actually very helpful for us. So if doing less, receiving more, or slowing down was ever met in your life with like chaos, judgment, rejection, or fear in your past, then your subconscious is storing that as like danger is stillness, slowness, not doing, that's dangerous. And that's what gets recorded. So let's say maybe like you were only praised when you were productive. Then your subconscious believes that slowing down is losing love, or you won't get approval. Or if your family had like financial struggles, then it might associate stillness or slowing down with we're not going to survive, because it's seen these examples where that happened and it was not a good outcome. So even when your conscious mind says, oh, sure, I want it to be easy. Sure, I want abundance. Like, why wouldn't I? Let me have it. Then your subconscious is going to still say, not unless it's safe. So there's this conflict that's happening internally and subconsciously between abundance and programming. So because the abundance requires expansion, it requires trust, and it requires presence. But if it's still kind of like looping on, I have to earn everything, more effort equals more money, ease equals laziness, or maybe even losing things that we love or want, then you're going to be blocked from stepping into that, because that level of freedom doesn't match your current identity or your current survival strategy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, guys, everything, your nervous system is what really is the operating system for your soul, for your energy, for your consciousness. And what that's doing, the frequency, the vibration that's putting out is going to reflect your reality. And so what my core belief that I had, we go back to the example I shared with, oh my gosh, being in flow is, and this is maybe not responsible. I have an employee now. And then I started to get a lot of the rejection, you said, was what shut me down, because I started getting rejection, not from strangers attacking my credibility or whatever. And that I wasn't strong enough in myself as a medium, that I just wanted to help people. And I was very like sensitive, like a little clam. I was like, I'm so sensitive and soft inside. And so I was still sensitive, but I didn't have the ability to just be in me and my essence, and know who I am, and know that if someone calls me a dolphin, doesn't mean I'm a dolphin. Don't take offense to that. It's not who I am. And I think that comes with growth. That comes with just life teaching you those things. But I contracted because of the belief that, oh my gosh, if I'm not doing it this way, I'm going to be rejected. And I started then, what started also happening simultaneously right around the same time. It's so interesting how life like reflected this reality as my core beliefs changed. This is how it works, right? Your reality starts to shift as your core beliefs change. My core belief was, wow, this is so awesome. My business is growing so much. And then I started having people come in that I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I had this experience of being put on a pedestal as a medium, having this kind of weird power differential. I would see people like with, she is so amazing. And that retracted my nervous system so much because I'd seen just like, it felt like people were trying to give their power to me. All the things. How could you know this? Oh my gosh. And people would then, they would send me messages like, can you tell me about the spirit in my home? Because it was mystical and something they didn't understand. They were so curious. But at the same time, I felt like there was a lot of pulling. And then a lot of times this happens when you have that experience, you don't understand it. People do give away their power to someone that they perceive has some sort of magical, mystical, spiritual, quote unquote, evolved powers. And they're like, wow, I want to be like them. They're my guru. They are something. And that really retracted my nervous system because I was like, this is not, no, I'm a human. I know that everyone has the capacity to do amazing things, but I think that I started to retract because that made me uncomfortable. And simultaneously, I started to retract because other people were starting to become, it was gossip and jealousy and resentment towards my business success. And other people who were close business partners and friends were upset about the success I was having and how I was doing it. And just, it was flowing. And it was so easy. I remember saying, this is so easy. I feel like I must be doing something wrong with start to set in. I must be doing something wrong because it's too easy. And that's where we've been spending the last 5 years on deprogramming that because it is. And now as things like, I'll give you an example. So to the work that Theresa is doing, and she's going to go into how EFT works, but with the subconscious reprogramming, one of the things I really did take out of my belief is that it can be easy. And I had 3 new staff that I hired all at once. And normally when you hire a new massage therapist, it takes them 6 to 9 months to fill their book. They were going to work 1 day a week, 3 times for 1 day a week for 3 months. That's what we do for is it a good fit for you? Like a trial period. And 3 new staff all at once for 1 day a week. That's fine. They can have 5 massages a week, but they decided they loved it so much. They wanted to come work with us 4 days a week. And I said to them, like right away. And I said, you might want to transition a little slower because you might not be able to fill your book right away. That's a lot of people for 4 days a week for 3 of you all at once. And I decided that, you know what? They kept insisting on it. I was like, look, you guys, let's talk about, are you ready for this? Are you okay if it doesn't happen? And let's just let it go and not have attachment to it. Do you believe in, they like, we love so much where we work now. We believe in it. And I was like, great. And I had to really let go of that because I feel like it's my old patterns. It's my responsibility to make it happen for them. Yes, it's a responsibility as a business owner to market and put the things out, but it's also the energy and the frequency and the consciousness of the people that work for you. That's a huge component, right? And I had trust in these people because I was like, their energy is magnetic. They are about service. They absolutely love what they do. They're so passionate. I don't really have to do any work. It can be easy because they're so in alignment. And what happened was they came in February, every single week up until this weekend, because it was Easter weekend and not everyone wanted to massage us on Easter Sunday, I guess. They have their book filled, all 3 of them for 4 days a week, for the most part, like almost 90% filled. And we didn't really do hardly any extra marketing other than the regular new things we do. And that's where I believe that my belief of it can be easy again, because I was unpacking this type of thing, that starts to reflect and ripple out and pop in my reality. So I just wanted to share that. And then let's go into the actual EFT process, because I'm a firm believer, and we've talked about the last couple episodes, guys. That's why it's no coincidence and synchronicity that this episode was the one I was doing next in this series of talking about subconscious reprogramming and how it affects your life and your manifestation. But tell us about EFT, what it looks like, how it works, and what the process looks like when working with you with that.
Yeah, sure. So I consider EFT to be like a really cool nervous system recalibration tool. It works by clearing out like emotional charge from old programming that's keeping you stuck, especially in that go loop that we've been talking about on this episode. So when we tap, and when we say EFT tapping, we're literally tapping on these different meridian endpoints on the body, 9 of them in basic EFT tapping. And we're speaking to whatever the issue is. So it's this combination of ancient Chinese medicine, thousands of years old, and modern day psychology. And through doing that, you actually dissolve, release, let go of these energetic blockages that have been keeping you stuck. And this can work on anything that you can feel. So emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, nothing's off limits, which I think is one of the coolest things about this modality, because it really it shifts all sorts of things. And there's these borrowed benefits of it too. I know I've had clients when we come in to work on childhood trauma or something and we're doing EFT tapping, but I remember one session where a client showed up with a sprained ankle and we were working on childhood trauma that day. And I was like, we're not working on the ankle, but just tell me where it's at on a scale of 0 to 10 with the pain that you're in. She's like, oh, it's like a 7 or an 8. And we were sitting, it wasn't really bothering her. And we checked in again at the end of the session and she's like doing ankle rolls. I could tell she's like, man, like my ankle feels so much better. It's like we borrow benefits from ourselves, even in we work on one thing, but when we are lowering the cortisol, which can happen up to 43% in just 5 minutes when you're doing EFT tapping, and also are just releasing some of those energetic blockages, things can change for us that we're not even focused on, which is so cool. And for me as a practitioner trying to have a sustainable business and not be in hustle and strive, I get borrowed benefits just from working with people, even though I'm not focused on my own junk during their sessions. I'm focused on theirs, but I feel better and I feel energized. Whereas I know a lot of like talk therapists or people that administer other forms and modalities, they can sometimes feel really drained or like they're kind of worn out after working with people all day. And I usually feel pretty energized. And that's saying a lot because I'm very much like an introvert and I'm somebody who, depending on like the energy of a situation, can be very drained by certain things or can be kind of lit up by them. But working with clients doesn't take my energy. I've got very good like energetic boundaries and practices. And also I work with a modality that nourishes me as I use it. So I think that's really important. And so when we tap, we send this signal to the body, right to the amygdala, actually, which is where the fight, flight, freeze, flop, fawn, all those are happening. And it helps to release like the pressure, the fear, or that over responsibility, like you were just talking about. So you can go from being in a state of overwhelm to feeling like centered and grounded in minutes. Like it's really fast. And then that kind of shift, that move from the mosh pit to the box seats, like that really helps people to start making decisions from alignment instead of anxiety, which is how we start to build lives and businesses that feel as good as they look, not the facade.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I'd love that you were talking about the modality helping you too. Anytime you're doing any sort of energy modality and you're tapping on yourself, you're clearing your channels at the same time. It's nice. It's really nice. I have a practitioner that works with us with a PEMF therapy session. I'm running PEMF for me all day and I feel amazing all the time. I'm like, yeah. And like normally we're used to living outside and having these natural elements and environmental factors that clear our system all the time and we don't hold on to things. And it's just, we mentally hold on and loop, and that's what creates things to be stuck and creates beliefs and patterns and blockages in our lives. So I love the practicality of EFT. I love the simplicity of it, immediacy that you can experience. And even overnight, you can have like your life completely shift from changing a belief pattern. And you can also then, you're using the tapping to not just clear it, but you're also connecting in with yourself through that self-inquiry to see where is this coming from and feeling into the body emotionally, physically, spiritually. So I think, again, any tool that is empowering where you can help people then learn to start using the tool themselves at home in between sessions, I think is really awesome too. Yeah. So as far as wrapping things up here, tell us a little bit about how to get in touch with you, what you do, and anything else you want to share before we go into our 2 final questions I always ask people for the first time on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can get in touch with me. The best place, honestly, if you want to learn more and experience this, join my free community on School. And I will make sure that Kara has like the link to the community directly. But if you're listening and you just want to go on there and figure it out real quick, go to School, SKOOL.com/discovery. Type in my name, Theresa Lear Levine, and you'll see the Becoming More Me community pop right up. And then you can just click to join. It's totally free. I have so many resources in there, video tapping rounds, hypnosis audios. We do a free workshop every month. If you really want to experience what this is about, that's your best place to do it. Otherwise, you can always find me on Instagram, also at Theresa Lear Levine, and feel free to send me a message there. And if you tell me that Kara sent you, I'll be happy to hook you up with a free 15-minute call and we can talk about the challenges that you're facing and I can lead you to some resources that might be really helpful on your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so grateful for you and every single guest that we have on here that is helping the world. We need so many of us to help and to assist and to share our wisdom and even collaborate. I think it's a really beautiful time to be alive and doing this type of work.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel every day, I feel like fired up in a good way, in a calm way, fired up about what I'm doing. The purpose, it feels on purpose. Yeah.
Yes. So important.
I have two final questions, Theresa, that I ask people when they come on the show for the first time. So the first question is, what is your favorite wellness product, topic, or self-care indulgence at this time?
I always love a good massage. I love anything that like makes my nervous system feel cared for. I love like craniosacral therapy, weighted blankets, red light therapy. And of course, I'm definitely in favor of EFT too, because it's always there for me when I need a reset. Yeah, those are some of my faves at the moment.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And how about if you could detox one thing in your life or the world right now, what would it be?
I think just based on what we talked about today, like it would be the idea that we have to earn our worth, because that belief has kept so many incredible humans playing small. And it's also led to a lot of unnecessary burnout or like waiting for some permission that just it's never going to come from anyone but yourself. So I think just the idea that like you are worthy just because you exist. And that's like the truth that I would love to be spread and received and felt everywhere.
That is the foundation of why we have all the problems in the world. If every single person, especially the leaders, the people, that there would be this misuse of power and stuff wouldn't even be there because they would know what their real power is, which is being them authentically. That's totally the truth. I love that answer because I know I think that's the root answer. I'm not saying it's the right answer, but I think it's a root answer. It's one of the root answers. I know people come and say, I detox cell phones, I detox this. I'm like, but what's underneath that? Why do we have these addictions to all these things?
Right.
That's the root. That's the root answer. I love, hands down, that's my favorite answer on the show so far.
Well,
So cool. All right. Thank you so much for being here with us, Theresa. We'll
for
put
having
all
me
the
here.
information out there for you, everyone to reach you and check out your school. And I really am just glad to have met you. And again, we appreciate everything you're doing in the world. So thank you.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you again, as always, for listening, and be well until next time, my friends. Thank you for listening to the Mind Body Detox podcast. If you loved this podcast, share it with others and leave us a review. Your reviews help us more than you know and supports us continuing to make episodes and being heard from all over the world. You can also follow the link in our show notes to submit a topic that you would like to hear on the show.